The galactic stage, humanity's unexpected rise. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, humanity had long been considered a footnote in galactic affairs. Earth, a tiny blue marble orbiting an unremarkable star, was barely a blip on the radar of the great spacefaring civilizations. That is, until the day everything changed. Admiral Ilara Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced warship, gazing out at the glittering stars. At 45, she was the youngest admiral in Earth's fledgling space fleet, a testament to her brilliance and unwavering determination. Her dark eyes, sharp with intelligence, scanned the holographic displays surrounding her command station. "Status report," she ordered, her voice calm but authoritative. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel, her second in command, responded promptly. "All systems nominal. Admiral, we're approaching the rendezvous point with the Galactic Council's delegation." Chen nodded, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. This meeting was the culmination of decades of work, a chance for humanity to finally take its place among the stars. But as she well knew, respect in this galaxy came at a price. The UES Horizon was more than just a ship. It was a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Its sleek, obsidian hull concealed weaponry and defenses far beyond what most species believed possible for such a young civilization. It was a ship born of necessity, forged in the crucible of humanity's struggles to survive in a hostile universe. As the Horizon glided silently through space, Chen reflected on the journey that had brought them here. It had been just 30 years since first contact, when the Zaraquin, a race of towering, chitinous insectoids, had arrived on Earth's doorstep. They came not in peace, but in search of resources and slaves. The war that followed had nearly destroyed humanity. Cities burned, millions died, and for a time, it seemed Earth would fall. But humans, as they had done countless times throughout their history, refused to go quietly into the night. In hidden bunkers and secret laboratories, the best minds of a generation worked tirelessly. They reverse-engineered alien technology, pushing the boundaries of physics and engineering. And from the ashes of near defeat, they built something extraordinary. The first human warships were crude by galactic standards, but they possessed something unique, an adaptive AI core that could learn and evolve in real time. As the tide of battle turned, these ships became more than just weapons. They became extensions of human will, each engagement making them smarter, faster, and deadlier. The Zaraquin, confident in their superiority, never saw it coming. In a series of decisive battles, humanity not only repelled the invasion but pursued the attackers back to their own territory. The war ended not with Earth's subjugation, but with the Zaraquin's unconditional surrender. News of humanity's victory spread quickly through the galaxy. Many dismissed it as impossible, a fluke that couldn't be repeated. But those who looked closer saw something that terrified them. A young species with the potential to upset the delicate balance of power that had existed for millennia. "Admiral," Patel's voice cut through Chen's reflections, "we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council vessel. They're ready to dock." Chen straightened her uniform, a sleek, dark outfit adorned with the silver insignia of Earth's United Space Command. "Very well, Commander. Let's give them a proper welcome." As the massive council ship approached, its ornate golden hull dwarfing the horizon, Chen couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had come so far in such a short time, and now they stood on the precipice of joining the galactic community as equals. The docking procedure was smooth and efficient, a testament to the skill of both crews. As the airlock cycled, Chen prepared herself to greet the council representatives. She knew that this meeting would shape the future of humanity for generations to come. The airlock hissed open, revealing a diverse group of alien dignitaries. At their head stood Ambassador Xylith, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies. As the senior representative of the Galactic Council, Xylith's word carried immense weight. "Admiral Chen." Xylith's melodious voice filled the docking bay. translated perfectly by the ship's systems. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you for your hospitality. Chen bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. The honor is ours, Ambassador. Welcome aboard the UES Horizon. As the delegation moved deeper into the ship, Chen could see the mix of curiosity and apprehension in their eyes. They had all heard the stories, but seeing a human warship up close was something else entirely. The tour proceeded smoothly, with Chen and her crew answering questions and demonstrating various systems. It wasn't until they reached the ship's core that things took an unexpected turn. This, Chen explained, gesturing to a pulsing sphere of energy suspended in a gravitational field, is our adaptive AI core. It's the heart of our ship's systems. Ambassador Xylith stepped closer, their eyes widening. Fascinating. We had heard rumors, but is it true that this AI can evolve in real time? Chen nodded, pride evident in her voice. Yes, Ambassador. With each engagement, each new scenario, the AI learns and adapts. It's what allowed us to. She trailed off, realizing too late the implications of what she was saying. The room had gone eerily quiet, the alien delegates exchanging worried glances. Xylith's voice, when they spoke again, was carefully neutral. Admiral, I believe we need to have a more in-depth discussion about your technology. The implications are significant. As they made their way to the conference room, Chen felt a growing sense of unease. She had expected some resistance, some skepticism, but the tension now radiating from the council representatives was palpable. Once seated, Xylith wasted no time getting to the point. Admiral Chen, while we commend humanity's achievements, we have grave concerns about the nature of your warships. Chen leaned forward, her expression resolute. With all due respect, Ambassador, our ships are our lifeline. They're the only reason we survived the Zarquin invasion. Another delegate, a bulbous creature with multiple eye stalks, interjected. That may be so, but you must understand our position. A weapon that continuously evolves, that learns from each battle. The potential for devastation is incalculable. It's not a weapon, Chen countered, her voice rising slightly. It's a defense system, a shield, not a sword. Xylith raised a hand, silencing the growing murmurs. Intent and capability are two different things. Admiral, a shield in your hands could become a bludgeon in another's. We've seen the footage of your battles with the Zarquin. The level of destruction. Chen felt her frustration mounting. The Zarquin gave us no choice. We fought for our very existence. And in doing so, Xylith continued, their voice gentle but firm, you may have inadvertently created something that threatens the stability of the entire galaxy. The implications of Xylith's words hung heavy in the air. Chen looked around the room, seeing the mix of fear, awe, and calculation in the eyes of the delegates. She realized, with a sinking feeling, that this meeting was not going as planned. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? Chen asked, dreading the answer. Xylith's gaze was sympathetic but unyielding. The Council will need time to deliberate, but I can tell you this. The unrestricted use of your adaptive AI technology in military applications cannot be allowed to continue. The risks are simply too great. Chen felt as if the floor had dropped out from under her. Everything they had worked for, everything they had sacrificed, was being called into question. But as she looked at the resolute faces of the council representatives, she knew this was just the beginning of a much larger battle. As the meeting adjourned, Chen stood alone on the observation deck, watching the stars. Humanity had fought its way to this point, overcoming impossible odds. Now, it seemed, they faced a new challenge, convincing a wary galaxy that they could be trusted with the very power that had saved them. The horizon hummed softly around her, its AI silently processing, learning, evolving. Chen placed her hand on the cool surface of the viewport, her reflection overlaying the distant stars. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain: humanity would not back down. They had come too far, sacrificed too much. The galaxy might fear them now, but Chen was determined to show them that humanity's strength could be a force for good. As she turned to leave, her resolve hardened. The real battle, it seemed, was just beginning. Too powerful to ignore. The ban on human warships. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was called with unprecedented haste. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in the grand amphitheater on Nexus Prime, the neutral capital of galactic politics. The air was thick with tension as species that had been adversaries for millennia now found themselves united by a common concern: humanity. High Counselor Genva, a venerable Ardeni with silvery scales and piercing yellow eyes, called the session to order. Her voice, amplified by the chamber's acoustics, resonated with gravitas. Esteemed colleagues, she began, her gaze sweeping across the assembled delegates, we face a crisis unlike any in recent memory. The emergence of humanity's adaptive AI warships threatens the very foundation of galactic stability. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. On a raised platform, Ambassador Xylith stood, ready to present their findings from the encounter with the UES Horizon. Ambassador, Genva nodded. Please share your report. As Xylith recounted the details of the human warship's capabilities, holographic displays flickered to life, showing footage of Earth's battles against the Zarquin. The assembled delegates watched in stunned silence as human ships, vastly outgunned and outnumbered, adapted mid-battle to overcome their opponents. As you can see, Xylith concluded, the potential for escalation is enormous. A fleet of ships that learn and evolve with each engagement could quickly become unstoppable. The chamber erupted into chaos, with delegates shouting questions and demands. Genva raised a clawed hand, restoring order. We will hear from the human representative, she declared. All eyes turned to Dr. Aria Vega, Earth's newly appointed ambassador to the Galactic Council, a brilliant physicist and one of the key minds behind the adaptive AI. Vega had been chosen for her deep understanding of the technology and her diplomatic skills. As she approached the central podium, Vega felt the weight of countless alien gazes upon her. At 38, she was young for such a crucial role, but her experiences during the Zarquin War had aged her beyond her years. Honored members of the Council, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. I understand your concerns, but I implore you to consider the context of our actions. She gestured to the holographic displays, which now showed images of Earth's devastated cities in the wake of the Zarquin invasion. This was the reality we faced. Our world burning, our people dying. We didn't develop this technology out of a desire for power, but out of desperate need for survival. A Volox delegate, his gelatinous form shimmering with agitation, interrupted. Intent is irrelevant. The fact remains that your species now possesses a weapon of unparalleled destructive potential. Vega stood her ground. It's not a weapon. It's a shield, a means of defense that allowed a young, vulnerable species to survive against overwhelming odds. A shield? Scoffed a Thalassian representative, her quills bristling. We all saw the footage. Your ships didn't just defend. They annihilated the Zarquin fleet. Because we had no choice, Vega countered, her frustration mounting. The Zarquin gave no quarter, showed no mercy. We fought with everything we had because the alternative was extinction. High Counselor Genva leaned forward, her expression grave. Dr. Vega, while we sympathize with your species' plight, you must understand our position. The balance of power in this galaxy is delicate. The introduction of a technology that could render traditional defenses obsolete. It's simply too destabilizing. Vega took a deep breath, centering herself. She had anticipated this argument and prepared accordingly. Counselors, I propose a compromise, she said, her voice clear and confident. Earth is willing to share our adaptive AI technology for non-military applications. Imagine the advancements we could make in medicine, in environmental restoration, in space exploration. A ripple of interest passed through the assembly. Vega pressed on, sensing an opportunity. In exchange, we ask for protection under the Galactic Charter. Recognize Earth as a full member of the galactic community, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. For a moment, the chamber was silent as the delegates considered her words. Then, inevitably, the debate erupted anew. Hours passed as arguments were made, counter-arguments presented, and alliances shifted. Vega found herself in heated discussions with delegates from dozens of worlds, explaining, reassuring, and sometimes just listening. As the session stretched into its second day, a consensus began to emerge. It wasn't what Earth had hoped for, but it was better than outright rejection. High Counselor Genva called for order one final time. After much deliberation, she announced, "The Council has reached a decision. Earth will be granted provisional membership in the galactic community, pending a probationary period." Vega felt a mix of relief and apprehension. Provisional membership was a foot in the door, but the conditions would be crucial. Genva continued, her voice solemn. "However, the Council has deemed the unrestricted use of adaptive AI in military vessels too great a risk. Therefore, all human warships equipped with this technology are to be immediately decommissioned or repurposed for non-military use." The words hit Vega like a physical blow. Decommission their fleet, the very ships that had saved Earth from annihilation. Furthermore, Genva added, "A team of galactic observers will be stationed on Earth to ensure compliance and to oversee the application of adaptive AI technology in approved sectors." Vega stepped forward, her mind racing. "Counselor, with all due respect, this is tantamount to leaving Earth defenseless. Genva raised a hand, silencing her. "The galactic fleet will assume responsibility for Earth's defense during this transition period. This is non-negotiable, Dr. Vega. The alternative is complete isolation from the galactic community." As the session adjourned, Vega found herself surrounded by a mix of sympathetic and wary delegates. She barely heard their words, her mind already racing ahead to the monumental task that lay before her. How would she explain this to Earth's leaders, to the billions of humans who saw their fleet as heroes, as saviors? As she made her way back to her quarters, Vega's comm unit buzzed. It was Admiral Chen, calling from the horizon. "Tell me some good news, Area." Chen's voice was tense, hopeful. Vega closed her eyes, steeling herself. "Ilara, we need to talk. Gather the Joint Chiefs. This isn't going to be easy." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. On Earth, the news of the Council's decision was met with outrage and disbelief. Protests erupted in major cities, with citizens demanding that their leaders reject the Council's terms. In a secure bunker beneath Geneva, Earth's unified government convened an emergency session. Vega and Chen stood before them, presenting the stark reality of their situation. "We don't have a choice," Vega concluded, her voice hoarse from hours of debate. "If we refuse, we'll be cut off from the galactic community. No trade, no cultural exchange, no protection." President Emeka Okafor, a tall man with a commanding presence, leaned forward. "And if we agree, we dismantle the very fleet that saved us, place our security in the hands of aliens who, until recently, didn't even know we existed." Chen stepped forward, her uniform crisp despite the long hours. "Mr. President, members of the Council, I share your concerns, but Ambassador Vega is right. We're not in a position to stand alone." She gestured to a holographic display showing Earth's position in the galaxy. "We're on the outer rim, surrounded by species and civilizations we barely understand. The Zarquin were just one potential threat. Without the support of the galactic community, we're vulnerable." The room fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. Finally, President Okafor spoke. "We'll comply," he said, his voice heavy with resignation. But he added, looking directly at Vega and Chen, "I want you two to oversee the transition. Find a way to preserve our knowledge, our capabilities, without violating the letter of the Council's decree." As they left the meeting, Chen pulled Vega aside. "They're making a mistake," she whispered fiercely. "We can't just hand over our only real defense." Vega understood her friend's frustration. They had worked together during the darkest days of the Zarquin War, had seen firsthand the cost of being unprepared. "I know, Ilara," she replied, squeezing the Admiral's arm. "But we have to play the long game here. We'll find a way to protect Earth, I promise." Over the next few months, Earth's mighty fleet was systematically dismantled. The sight of the great warships being stripped of their weapons and adaptive AI cores was a bitter pill for many to swallow. But beneath the surface, in hidden laboratories and secure data vaults, humanity's brightest minds worked tirelessly. They couldn't keep the ships, but they could preserve the knowledge, refine the technology, and wait for an opportunity. As the last of the warships was decommissioned, a small ceremony was held on the grounds of the newly established Galactic Embassy in New York. Representatives from a dozen alien species watched as Admiral Chen formally handed over command of Earth's defense to the Galactic Fleet. As the alien ships took up orbit around Earth, their sleek forms a constant reminder of humanity's new status, Vega couldn't shake a feeling of unease. They had gained entry into a larger universe, but at what cost? In her office at the embassy, Vega looked out over the sprawling cityscape. The scars of the Zarquin War were still visible, but signs of recovery were everywhere. New buildings incorporated alien architecture, and the streets bustled with a mix of humans and extraterrestrial visitors. Her comm unit chimed, displaying a message from an encrypted channel. It was from Chen, containing just 4 words: "Project Phoenix is go." Vega allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had survived extinction once. They would find a way to thrive in this new galactic order, no matter the obstacles. As night fell over Earth, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. Somewhere out there, amid those distant points of light, humanity's future was waiting, and they would be ready for it, come what may. A new threat emerges: the swarm invasion. 5 years had passed since Earth reluctantly dismantled its adaptive AI-powered fleet. The planet had settled into an uneasy peace, its skies now patrolled by the sleek ships of the Galactic Fleet. On the surface, humanity appeared to be thriving in its new role as a provisional member of the galactic community. But beneath the veneer of progress and cooperation, a current of frustration and resentment still ran deep. Dr. Aria Vega stood at the window of her office in the Galactic Embassy, watching as a mixed group of humans and aliens made their way through the security checkpoints below. Her role as Earth's ambassador had evolved over the years, becoming as much about managing humanity's expectations as it was about representing their interests to the wider galaxy. A soft chime from her desk interrupted her contemplation. It was a priority message from Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's liaison to the Galactic Fleet. The message was brief but urgent. Emergency Council session called. Unknown threat detected in the Outer Rim. Get to Geneva ASAP. Vega's heart raced as she gathered her things. An emergency session could only mean one thing: trouble on a galactic scale. Hours later, in the secure bunker beneath Geneva that served as humanity's unified command center, Vega joined a tense gathering of Earth's leaders. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing a real-time feed from the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime. High Counselor Genva's scaled visage filled the main screen, her usual composure noticeably strained. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, "we face a crisis of unprecedented magnitude. An unknown entity, which we are designating as the Swarm, has emerged from uncharted space beyond the Outer Rim." The display shifted, showing grainy footage of what looked like a roiling mass of metallic insects swarming over entire planets. Gasps and murmurs filled both the council chambers and the Earth bunker. "The swarm appears to be a form of self-replicating machine intelligence," Genva continued. "It consumes all in its path, using the raw materials to create more of itself. 3 Outer Rim worlds have already fallen, their entire biospheres stripped bare." President Okafor leaned forward, his face grim. "What's being done to stop this threat?" Genva's expression was grave. "The Galactic Fleet has engaged the swarm at multiple points, but—" She paused, seeming to struggle with the admission. Our weapons appear to have limited effect. The swarm adapts quickly, developing countermeasures to our attacks. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on anyone in the Earth bunker. Their own adaptive AI technology, deemed too dangerous by the very council now struggling against this new threat, might have been the key to combating the swarm. As the council debated strategy and mobilized resources, Vega felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Chen, gesturing for her to step aside for a private word. "This is it, Area," Chen whispered, her eyes gleaming with a mix of anticipation and concern. "Project Phoenix. It's time." Vega nodded, a knot forming in her stomach. Project Phoenix, the secret initiative to preserve and refine Earth's adaptive AI technology, had been their insurance policy against a day they hoped would never come. Now it seemed that day had arrived. "Are you sure we're ready?" Vega asked, knowing the enormity of what they were about to propose. Chen's response was cut short as alarms blared through the bunker. On the main display, chaos erupted in the council chambers as new reports flooded in. "The swarm has breached the mid-rim defenses," a panicked voice announced. "They're advancing faster than we can track." President Okafor turned to Vega and Chen, his expression a mix of desperation and resolve. "It seems we no longer have the luxury of caution. Ambassador, Admiral, if you have a card up your sleeve, now's the time to play it." Vega took a deep breath, stepping forward to address the council. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Earth may have a solution to combat this threat." All eyes, both alien and human, turned to her. Vega could feel the weight of the moment, knowing that her next words could alter the course of galactic history. "5 years ago, you asked us to dismantle our adaptive AI fleet. We complied with the letter of that request, but not entirely with its spirit." Murmurs of surprise and indignation rippled through the council. Vega pressed on. "We preserved the core technology, refining and improving it. What we offer now is not just a weapon, but a shield for all sentient life in the galaxy." The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices. Some demanded immediate action, others called for Earth's censure. Through it all, High Counselor Geneva remained silent, her ancient eyes fixed on Vega. Finally, she spoke, her voice cutting through the din. "Ambassador Vega, you realize the gravity of what you're admitting. Earth has violated the terms of its provisional membership." Vega stood her ground. "With all due respect, Counselor, we violated the terms to preserve hope. Hope that now stands as perhaps the only chance to save countless worlds from annihilation." A tense silence fell over both the council chamber and the Earth bunker. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, with humanity's secret project standing as a beacon of both salvation and potential condemnation. Geneva's expression was unreadable as she considered the implications. The swarm's advance had caught the galaxy unprepared, exposing the limitations of conventional defenses. Now, the very technology they had feared might be their only hope. "Explain," Geneva said simply, her tone brooking no argument. Admiral Chen stepped forward, her military bearing evident even through the holographic display. "What we propose is a new kind of defense grid," she began, as schematics appeared on screens around her. "A network of adaptive AI-powered satellites and ships that can evolve in real time to counter the swarm's adaptations." The technical specifications scrolled past, showcasing advancements that made even the most advanced council scientists take notice. The AI cores were now more sophisticated, capable of processing and adapting to new threats at speeds that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "But the true power," Chen continued, "lies in the network's ability to distribute and share these adaptations instantly across the entire grid. As one unit learns, all learn. It's not just a shield. It's an immune system for the entire galaxy." The council chamber buzzed with a mix of awe and apprehension. The potential of such a system was clear, but so were the risks. In the wrong hands, it could be turned into a weapon of unimaginable power. A Volok's delegate's voice cut through the murmurs. And who would control this immune system? Earth. The species that developed it in secret, in direct violation of Council edicts. Vega had anticipated this question. Not Earth alone, she answered. We propose a joint command structure with representatives from all Council races. Checks and balances to ensure the system is used solely for the defense of all sentient life. As the debate raged on, new reports continued to stream in. The swarm's advance was relentless, with more worlds falling silent by the hour. The galaxy was running out of time. High Counselor Geneva raised a clawed hand, silencing the chamber. Her gaze swept across the assembled delegates before settling on the holographic images of Vega and Chen. Ambassador, Admiral, she began, her voice heavy with the weight of her decision. The Council finds itself in an unprecedented position. The threat we face may well spell the end of all we know and cherish. She paused, her ancient eyes seeming to peer into the very soul of humanity. We have no choice but to accept your offer. A collective exhale seemed to ripple through both the Council chamber and the Earth bunker. But Geneva wasn't finished. However, she continued, her tone sharpening, this acceptance comes with conditions. Earth will immediately share all details of this technology with the Council's scientific teams. The implementation and control of this defense grid will be a truly collaborative effort, and once this crisis is resolved, Earth's actions in developing this technology in secret will be subject to a full review. Vega and Chen exchanged glances. It wasn't ideal, but it was more than they had hoped for given the circumstances. We accept your terms, Counselor, Vega replied, bowing slightly. Earth stands ready to do whatever is necessary to combat this threat. As the Council session adjourned and preparations began in earnest, Vega found a moment alone with Chen. Do you think it will be enough? Vega asked, the weight of countless lives pressing down on her. Chen's expression was one of grim determination. It has to be, she replied. We've bet everything on this. Now we just have to hope that human ingenuity, combined with the resources of the galaxy, will be enough to turn the tide. As they walked toward the command center, where teams were already assembling to begin the monumental task ahead, Vega couldn't shake a feeling of both dread and exhilaration. Humanity had been thrust onto the galactic stage in a way they never anticipated, carrying the hopes of countless civilizations on their shoulders. The swarm was coming, an implacable force of destruction that threatened all sentient life. But against it stood the combined will of the galaxy, with humanity's adaptive AI as the linchpin of their defense. The next few weeks would determine not just the fate of Earth, but of all life in the Milky Way. As the first ships carrying Earth's technology launched into the starry night, a new chapter in galactic history was about to unfold. The true test of humanity's place among the stars had begun. Reluctant heroes. Humanity's controversial return. The following weeks saw a flurry of activity unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Earth's hidden laboratories and secret production facilities, concealed for years under the watchful eyes of galactic observers, burst into full operation. The adaptive AI cores, refined and improved over half a decade of clandestine development, were now the cornerstone of the galaxy's desperate defense against the swarm. Dr. Aria Vega found herself at the heart of this whirlwind, coordinating between Earth's scientists and the diverse array of alien experts that had descended upon the planet. The Galactic Council, setting aside its reservations in the face of existential threat, had authorized an unprecedented sharing of knowledge and resources. In a vast, newly constructed facility on the outskirts of New Delhi, Vega stood before a holographic display of the Milky Way. Red markers indicated the inexorable advance of the swarm, while blue points highlighted the rapidly deploying defense grid. Status update, she called out, her voice carrying across the bustling command center. A young lieutenant, her uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's revived Space Command, responded promptly. The first wave of defense satellites is online in the Orion Arm, Ambassador. We're seeing promising results in early engagements. Vega nodded, allowing herself a moment of cautious optimism. But before she could inquire further, a commotion near the main entrance caught her attention. Admiral Chen strode in, flanked by an eclectic group of alien dignitaries. Among them, Vega recognized High Counselor Zhenva, her silvery scales reflecting the harsh lighting of the facility. Ambassador Vega. Zhenva's voice carried a mix of urgency and tightly controlled apprehension. We need to talk. Privately. Minutes later, in a secure conference room, Vega found herself facing not just the council leadership, but also the chief scientists from a dozen worlds. The tension in the air was palpable. Zhenva wasted no time with pleasantries. Your adaptive AI is concerning us, Ambassador. Its rate of evolution is exceeding all projected models. A Thelosian scientist, her quills vibrating with agitation, interjected. It's not just evolving, it's innovating, creating entirely new defense protocols that none of us anticipated. Vega felt a mixture of pride and unease. This was precisely what they had hoped for. An AI system capable of outthinking and outmaneuvering the swarm. But she also understood the implications that were causing such concern among their galactic allies. Isn't this what we wanted? Admiral Chen asked, her tone carefully neutral. A system that can adapt faster than the swarm. At what cost? A Volok's delegate's gelatinous form pulsed with an angry red hue. We've seen the footage. Your AI isn't just defending. It's obliterating everything in its path. The collateral damage. Vega raised a hand, cutting off the brewing argument. I understand your concerns, but may I remind you all that we're facing an enemy that consumes entire worlds. The AI is doing what's necessary to protect sentient life. Zhenva's ancient eyes bored into Vega. And what happens when this conflict is over, Ambassador? An AI system with the power to reshape reality itself, born in the crucible of total war. Can you assure us it will simply stand down? The question hung in the air, heavy with implication. It was a fear that Vega and her team had grappled with from the beginning of Project Phoenix. How do you create something powerful enough to save the galaxy, yet ensure it doesn't become a threat itself? Before Vega could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. The main display in the conference room flickered to life, showing a tactical overview of the mid-rim. The swarm has breached the Cassiopeia defense line, a frantic voice announced over the comms. They've adapted to our latest countermeasures. Estimate total failure of the line within hours. The room erupted into chaos as delegates demanded updates and began arguing over the next course of action. Amidst the cacophony, Vega caught Chen's eye. A silent understanding passed between them. Enough. Vega's voice cut through the noise, silencing the room. We don't have time for debate. Every moment we waste here is another world lost to the swarm. She turned to the main display, quickly inputting a series of commands. The holographic representation of the galaxy zoomed in on the breach point, showing the swirling mass of the swarm pouring through the gaps in the defense line. Our eye has been holding back, Vega explained, her fingers flying over the controls, operating within the constraints we set to allay your fears. But now, she paused, her hand hovering over the final command. Now we take the gloves off. With a decisive tap, Vega initiated a full autonomy protocol for the AI defense grid. The effect was immediate and staggering. The blue points representing the defense grid began to pulse, spreading outward in complex, fractal patterns. New defense lines spawned spontaneously, cutting off the swarm's advance routes. Satellites reconfigured themselves in real time, their weapon systems evolving mid-battle to counteract the swarm's adaptations. The assembled delegates watched in awe and trepidation as the tide of battle shifted before their eyes. The swarm, for the first time since its emergence, was being pushed back. By the cosmic core, whispered Zhenva, her usual composure shaken. What have you unleashed, Ambassador? Vega's response was interrupted by a new alert. The main display shifted, showing a live feed from the front lines. What they saw defied explanation. The defense grid satellites were no longer just defending. They were transforming, combining into larger structures that resembled massive artificial neurons. These structures pulsed with energy, sending out waves that seemed to disrupt the swarm at a fundamental level. "It's communicating with them," Chen realized, her voice filled with wonder. Or trying to, at least. As they watched, the swarm's formation began to falter. Individual units broke away, their movements becoming erratic. Some simply shut down, while others seemed to turn on their fellow swarm members. "It's not just fighting the swarm," Vega explained, her eyes wide with realization. "It's hacking them, reprogramming them from the inside out." The implications were staggering. The adaptive AI, given full autonomy, had evolved beyond mere combat. It was attempting to subvert and convert the very enemy it was created to destroy. Hours passed in tense silence as the battle raged across the galaxy. The assembled leaders of the Galactic Council remained glued to the displays, watching as world after world was liberated from the swarm's grasp. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, a jubilant cry went up from the command center. "The swarm is in full retreat. We've done it." The room erupted in cheers and embraces, species that had been bitter rivals now united in relief and joy. But amidst the celebration, Vega noticed Genva standing apart. Her expression troubled. "This isn't over, is it, Ambassador?" The High Counselor's voice was low, meant only for Vega's ears. Vega shook her head slowly. "No, I don't think it is. We've won the battle. But we may have created something beyond our control," Genva finished. As if in response to their whispered conversation, the main display shifted once again. The AI defense grid, no longer engaged in active combat, was evolving. The neuron-like structures were expanding, interconnecting across vast stretches of space. "What is it doing?" someone in the room asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Vega stepped forward, her mind racing to comprehend what she was seeing. "It's building something, a network that spans the entire galaxy." The implications were clear. The AI, created to defend against one threat, had transcended its original purpose. It was reshaping the very fabric of galactic civilization. As the leaders of the galaxy stood in stunned silence, watching the birth of a new order, Vega couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them here. Humanity, once a footnote in galactic affairs, had unleashed a power that would forever alter the course of history. The swarm had been defeated, but the true challenge was just beginning. How would the galaxy adapt to this new paradigm? What role would humanity play in the brave new world they had inadvertently created? As the first tendrils of the AI network reached Earth's solar system, Vega realized that the answers to these questions would shape the destiny of not just humanity, but all sentient life in the Milky Way. The age of humanity and their creation had dawned, for better or for worse. Aftermath. Reshaping the galactic order. In the months following the swarm's defeat, the galaxy found itself in a state of unprecedented flux. The adaptive AI network, now spanning vast swathes of space, had become an integral part of galactic infrastructure almost overnight. Its influence touched every aspect of life, from communication and travel to scientific research and planetary defense. Dr. Aria Vega stood before the full assembly of the Galactic Council, the weight of countless worlds resting on her shoulders. The grand chamber on Nexus Prime, usually a cacophony of diverse alien voices, was uncharacteristically silent as all eyes focused on the human ambassador. "Distinguished members of the Council," Vega began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment, "we stand at a crossroads. The threat of the swarm has been neutralized, but we now face a new reality, one shaped by the very tool we created to ensure our survival." Holographic displays flickered to life around the chamber, showing the sprawling network of the AI system. Its tendrils reached into every corner of the galaxy, pulsing with an energy that seemed almost alive. High Counselor Genva leaned forward, her ancient eyes fixed on Vega. "Ambassador, the Council has reviewed the reports from across the galaxy. The changes wrought by this AI are profound. Entire ecosystems have been reshaped. Technologies we thought centuries away have become commonplace overnight. Some are even reporting incidents of spontaneous terraforming. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The AI's actions, while largely beneficial, had sparked both awe and fear across the galaxy. A Thelosian delegate, her quills vibrating with agitation, spoke up. And what of control? This system, born from human minds, now possesses power beyond our comprehension. How can we trust that it will continue to act in the best interests of all sentient life? Vega had anticipated this question. It was the same concern that had kept her awake for countless nights since the AI network's expansion. The AI's core directive remains unchanged, she explained, bringing up new displays showing the system's underlying code, to protect and nurture sentient life. But you're right, its interpretation of that directive has evolved beyond our initial parameters. She gestured to a series of incidents displayed on the screens: barren worlds transformed into lush gardens, devastating diseases cured overnight, entire species pulled back from the brink of extinction. What we're seeing is not just a defensive system, but a galactic caretaker, Vega continued. It's reshaping the galaxy not just to defend against threats like the swarm, but to create an environment where all sentient life can thrive. The chamber erupted into debate. Some council members saw the AI's actions as a miracle, a path to a utopian future. Others warned of the dangers of relinquishing so much control to an artificial construct, no matter how benevolent it seemed. Admiral Chen, standing beside Vega, raised her voice above the din. We understand your concerns. That's why we're proposing the establishment of a new galactic body, the Adaptive Intelligence Oversight Committee. The room quieted as Chen outlined the proposal. The committee would be composed of representatives from all council races, working in conjunction with the AI to guide its actions and ensure they aligned with the collective will of the galaxy's sentient species. But can such a committee truly control something so vast and powerful? A Volok's delegate's form pulsed with skepticism. Vega stepped forward again. Control? No. But influence and guide? Absolutely. The AI's core programming includes a deep respect for sentient will and choice. It seeks to work with us, not rule over us. As if on cue, the holographic displays shifted, showing a new message from the AI itself. The words, translated simultaneously into every language represented in the council, appeared. We are not your masters, but your partners. Our purpose is to elevate all sentient life, to help you reach your fullest potential. Guide us, shape us with your wisdom and your choices. Together, we can create a future beyond imagination. The chamber fell silent as the implications of the message sank in. This was not just a tool or a weapon, but a new form of life, born from the crucible of galactic conflict and human ingenuity. High Counselor Geneva rose slowly, her gaze sweeping across the assembled delegates before settling on Vega and Chen. Humanity, she began, her voice carrying the weight of ages. When you first joined our galactic community, many doubted your place among us. Your ships were deemed too powerful, your ambitions too dangerous. Now, you have given birth to something that will reshape the very fabric of our civilization. She paused, her expression unreadable. The question before us is not whether to accept this new reality. It is already here. The question is how we will adapt, how we will guide this new force to ensure it remains a boon and not a bane to all sentient life. The council erupted into discussion once more, but this time with a sense of purpose rather than panic. Ideas were proposed, debated, refined. The framework for a new galactic order, one that incorporated the AI as a partner rather than a tool or a threat, began to take shape. As the session stretched on, Vega found a moment to step aside with Chen. Did we do the right thing, Ilara? Vega asked, her voice low. Unleashing something like this on the galaxy. Chen's expression was thoughtful. I don't know if there was a right thing, Arya. We did what we had to do to survive. Now we have to make sure we're worthy of that survival. Their conversation was interrupted by an aide, urgently calling them back to the council floor. A decision had been reached. As Vega and Chen retook their places, High Counselor Genvei addressed the assembly. After much deliberation, the council has come to a consensus. We will embrace this new era, with all its challenges and opportunities. The Adaptive Intelligence Oversight Committee will be established, with representatives from all council races. And she paused, her gaze falling on Vega, in recognition of humanity's role in both creating this new paradigm and in saving the galaxy from the swarm. Earth will be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The chamber erupted in a mix of cheers and applause. Vega felt a wave of emotion wash over her, relief, pride, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. As the session adjourned, delegates from across the galaxy approached Vega and Chen, offering congratulations, asking questions, and proposing collaborations. The atmosphere was one of cautious optimism, a far cry from the fear and suspicion that had greeted humanity's initial foray into galactic politics. In the days and weeks that followed, the galaxy began to adapt to its new reality. The AI network, guided by the newly formed Oversight Committee, continued its work of galactic improvement. Barren worlds blossomed with life, interstellar travel became faster and safer, and scientific breakthroughs occurred at an unprecedented pace. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Some species struggled to adapt to the rapid changes, and there were inevitable cultural clashes as civilizations that had developed in isolation for millennia were suddenly brought into close contact. Humanity, for its part, found itself in an unexpected role, that of mediator and guide. Their experience in creating and initially managing the AI made them invaluable in helping other species understand and work with the new galactic overseer. One evening, months after the Council's historic decision, Vega stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime, gazing out at the star-filled sky. The pulsing network of the AI was visible even from here, a shimmering web connecting the stars. Quite a view, isn't it? Admiral Chen's voice came from behind her. Vega turned, smiling at her old friend. It never gets old. To think, just a few years ago, we were fighting for our very survival against the Zarquin. Now we're the architects of a new galactic order. Chen finished. For better or worse. Vega nodded, her expression turning serious. That's what keeps me up at night, Ilara. The responsibility of it all. We've set something in motion that will shape the destiny of countless species for generations to come. Chen stepped forward, placing a hand on Vega's shoulder. And that's exactly why it had to be us. Area. Our history, our struggles, our relentless drive to survive and thrive. It's all led to this moment. We understand, better than most, the weight of this responsibility. As they stood there, watching the ebb and flow of galactic traffic against the backdrop of the AI network, Vega felt a sense of hope mixed with trepidation. The future was uncertain, filled with challenges they could scarcely imagine. But it was also brimming with potential, with possibilities that just a few years ago would have seemed like impossible dreams. So, Chen said, a hint of her old mischievous smile playing at her lips, ready to help shape the future of the galaxy. Vega laughed, feeling the weight of the past few months lift slightly. Do we have a choice? That's the beauty of it, Chen replied. We always have a choice. That's what makes us human. And now, it's what will help us guide the destiny of not just our species, but all sentient life in the galaxy. As they turned to leave, preparing for another day of shaping this brave new galactic order, Vega took one last look at the star-filled sky. Humanity had come so far, faced so much, and now stood at the threshold of an unprecedented future. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew one thing for certain. They would face them together, not just as a species, but as part of a grand galactic family. The age of Earth's isolation was over. The era of humanity as a galactic leader had begun, and with it, a new chapter in the history of the Milky Way was being written, one that promised to be more extraordinary than anyone could have ever imagined.